Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and this week I have for you once again a Top 5 Wednesday. Top 5 Wednesday was created by Lainey from Ginger Reads Lainey. However, last month the host has changed and now it's Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. I'll leave the links to both their channels in the description box down below, and I'll also leave the link to the Goodreads group down below, so check that out as well. This week's topic was the top 5 books that we're most intimidated by, and I honestly have to say I am very rarely intimidated by any book. I started reading high fantasy, adult fantasy when I was around 11 or 12, and that's a genre which has a lot of very big books, which a lot of people find very intimidating. And I actually had a phase between, I'd say 13, 14, where I wouldn't read any books that were under 600 pages. I still don't consider books long if they don't at least have 550, 600 pages. So that's something that disqualifies a lot of books. However, I have other things that I find intimidating, or at least things that make me not want to start a book. And so I'll just show you some books I'm scared to start, that I don't want to start. The first book I have here is IQ 48 by Haruki Murakami, and this is a big book, which, as I said, is okay for me, although I prefer big books that are fantasy books. I don't like big books as much if they're not fantasy. I have read 2 short story collections by the same author and I really enjoyed them, but Haruki Murakami always has very passive protagonists, and that's okay for me for short stories, but I'm not sure how I'll deal with that for a whole book. So I have kind of been putting off reading this book for I think 3 years now, 3-4 years, I don't know. But I'll definitely get to this book at one point and I hope I'll enjoy it. Next is a book that I haven't had for a very long time on my TBR. I bought it a few months ago, and that is Thief's Magic by Trudy Canavan. The reason why I don't want to read this book, again, it's like average. I don't really consider this thick, even though it's 550 pages. But the reason that I don't want to start this book is that I loved the Magician's Guild trilogy, I'm not really sure how it's called, by Trudy Canavan. It's one of my favorite trilogies of all time. But I did not enjoy the Age of 5 trilogy, which is her other trilogy, and I also didn't enjoy the sequel trilogy to the Magician's Guild trilogy. So I'm scared to read this book because I don't want to not like it, because the Magician's Guild trilogy was one of the series that got me into adult high fantasy. So I really don't want to spoil that experience for me, and so I'm kind of scared to start this book. So a big chunk of books that really intimidate me and that I know that they really intimidate me is classics. And the first classic I have is The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas, I think it is. And I speak French, at least a little bit, and so I would really like to read The Three Musketeers in the original form, in French. But I'm scared that I won't understand a thing, because it is a classic and I don't speak French nearly as well as English, and I have problems with English and German when I read classics. That's one book that's very high on my TBR, but that I just can't bring myself to begin. Also, I don't even have a copy of the book. Next is Le Mort d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. This is a collection of the legends surrounding King Arthur, and I am intimidated by this because I know that this will take me a long time to finish because it's a classic. It's written in Old English, so yeah, I I need to find the time to invest in this book, so... But I'll definitely read it. And the last book that I have had on my TBR for 6 years already, I think about it 6 years ago or something, that is Paradise Lost by John Milton. Again, it's a classic. It's an old classic, so it's not like 19th century classic, which are easier to read. And also it's not written in prose, but in verses. I don't know how you call it in English. So it's even more difficult. I don't even have the English copy, I only have the German copy. And I tried reading it once, and I mean, I was 15, I think, at the time, and back then it was almost impossible for me to read. Maybe it's better now, but I am still very, very intimidated by this book. So that was it for my 5 books that I'm intimidated or scared by, that I don't want to start reading. And with that said, that's it for this week's Top 5 Wednesday. Tell me what books you are intimidated by, and I hope I'll see you soon. Kiss, kiss!